Let's go through the newly released Epstein photos. There are just a handful of some of 95,000 photos from his estate. They are a glimpse into his life and a hint too of the political storm it's causing. The first thing to stress is that we don't have the context for the images released. There are 3 containing President Trump. Let's go through those first. Here's the first image. Donald Trump pictured with 6 females. Their identity has been hidden, redacted. That was done by the Democrat members of the Oversight Committee who released these images. And that's important context. This one shows the president with another female. Again, her face has been obscured. It looks to have been taken on a private plane. And the final image with Trump is already in the public domain. It shows Epstein, Trump and a Belgian model. It's at a Victoria's Secrets party in New York in 1997. Now remember that no Epstein victims have ever accused Donald Trump of any wrongdoing, and he has said repeatedly that he disassociated himself from Jeffrey Epstein in the early 2000s. I'll get onto the other photos in a moment, but first it is worth stressing the context in which this dump of photos were released. The House Oversight Committee on Capitol Hill has been given 95,000 photos by the Epstein estate. Now, of these, the Democratic Party members have chosen themselves to release just a few. They're doing it to add pressure to the Trump administration to release all of the files. The Republicans on the committee, though, have shot back, saying that the Democrats are, quote, cherry-picking photos and making targeted redactions to create a false narrative about President Trump. Now, among these 19 photos are 3 which are disturbing given the context we now have of Epstein as a convicted paedophile and the testimony of the survivors, a warning that they are graphic and of sexual nature. The first shows a collection of sex toys clearly intended for use with extreme sex. The second shows the manufacturer's warning on an item called a jawbreaker gag. It says that it's possible to vomit and suffocate even while standing. The third, which we're not showing, shows a ribbed glove. Epstein, as we now know, moved in many circles, business, show business and politics, and the new images released reflect that. Here, with his partner Ghislaine Maxwell, and with the former president Bill Clinton, Jimmy Buffett and his wife. Here, with Woody Allen on what appears to be a film set. This one shows him with Richard Branson and the businessman Dean Carman. Again, it must be stressed that photos of individuals with Epstein do not equate to any wrongdoing. The most interesting photos show Epstein with Steve Bannon. Remember him? He was Trump's chief of staff for part of his first term as president, and he was instrumental in helping Trump win the 2016 election. We do not know when these photos were taken. This one is a selfie of the two of them together. It's a matter of public record that Bannon and Epstein were well acquainted and had worked together on various projects. This one we can assume is taken in an Epstein property. He's sitting behind a desk in conversation with Bannon. On the desk, photos of Epstein with females. Again, their faces have been redacted. Dates are important context here. Remember that Epstein was first convicted of sex-related crimes in 2008 and was arrested again in 2019 for sex trafficking of minors. There are more photos within the dump, like this, Bill Gates with Andrew MOUNTBATTEN-WINDSOR. Now this, interestingly, is a cropped version of a photograph that is already in the public domain of an event in London in 2018. We've seen an original version of the photo which shows King Charles, then the Prince of Wales, standing next to Andrew. What we don't know is when this photo was cropped, by who, or why it was selectively released by the Democrats as part of this dump. And this on a plane, Woody Allen, Larry Summers and Eliza New, a Harvard professor. And this one of a cabinet with some framed photos on the wall. Then there's this, a photo of a Trump-branded condom. These were on sale during the 2016 election campaign as political satire merchandise. Again, no context as to why it was included in this release. Hours after the first release, the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee published more photos. Again, no real context. Epstein with busted lip. Epstein in a bath. More photos too from a residence believed to be on his island in Little St. James in the Caribbean. They include images of a dentist's chair on the island, which we saw in images released at the start of December. In the second tranche, there's also this image, which I think is particularly interesting. It shows somebody in a bookshop holding up James Patterson's book, Filthy Rich. This is the book that was published in 2016, which is the exposé on Jeffrey Epstein. It's billed as a powerful billionaire, the sex scandal that undid him, the shocking true story of Jeffrey Epstein. Now, it looks as though the person holding that book is in fact Jeffrey Epstein. And so I guess the inference is, here's a man holding up the book that's all about him, effectively saying, I just don't care. There are questions surrounding this photo, of course. Who took the photo? We don't know, but that may well come out when all the files are released. And if it's someone who is well known, who was still happy to be associated with Jeffrey Epstein at that period in his life, well, then that could be awkward indeed. There are also more photos that reflect Epstein's circle of friends or acquaintances. These men have been named in documents related to Epstein before, but association, of course, does not equate to wrongdoing. There's the Emirati businessman Ahmed bin Salman and the former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. Now, Mr. Barak has been associated with Jeffrey Epstein many times over the years, but he has always denied any wrongdoing. Remember that the Trump administration, under considerable pressure, has asked the Justice Department to release all the Epstein files by Friday, the 19th of December.